There are truths so ancient, so unsettling that humanity has tried to bury them under layers of silence. Among them lies a secret about the sexuality of those marked by destiny, the chosen ones. Souls who, while walking in a human body, vibrate on a frequency this world was never prepared to handle. And it is in the tension between flesh and spirit that the deepest conflict of the chosen emerges. The sacred hidden dimension of desire. Religion preached purity. Society demanded restraint. Culture wrapped everything in shame. But no one ever dared to admit that when the soul of a chosen one awakens, sexuality no longer fits into human definitions. It isn't sin. It isn't addiction. It isn't morality. It is energy, raw, ancient, cosmic. A fire that doesn't belong to this world, yet insists on burning within you. And maybe throughout your life, you have felt this in ways you never spoke of. Nights when desire surged through you like a code written in your very DNA. Encounters that felt more like cosmic unions than human intimacy. Or perhaps moments when despite the chemistry your body froze as if your soul itself was whispering, "Not now, this one." Maybe you've been drawn again and again to broken souls carrying wounds that seem to call out for your healing. This is the secret pain of the chosen ones. The silence, the fear of being different, the feeling that your sexuality doesn't belong to this world. While others move through life with simple desires, you carry something sacred, dangerous, overwhelming. You've asked yourself, "What is wrong with me?" But the truth is, nothing is wrong. What you feel is the unmistakable mark of your calling. That's why you must stay with me until the very end. Because what I will reveal is not theory, not fantasy, not wishful thinking. It is lived truth. The hidden side of the chosen ones, sexuality that no one dared to speak. The patterns you thought were curses are in fact sacred codes. The confusion you carried was never madness. It was initiation. Today I will unveil the 5 most hidden and strange sexual habits of the chosen ones. And with each revelation you will realize that you are not alone. You will feel seen. You will feel understood. And you will finally recognize that your sexuality was never meant to break you. It was always meant to awaken you. But before we step into this journey, I want you to pause and mark this moment. If you feel that what I'm saying speaks directly to your soul, write the number 99 in the comments. Spiritually, 99 is the symbol of completion, the end of an old cycle, and the birth of a new one. By writing it, you're declaring that you are ready to leave behind the pain of secrecy and step into the liberation of your true spiritual identity. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe now because the revelations ahead will take you deeper into mysteries that most people will never dare to face. These truths are not meant for the masses. They are meant for you. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and prepare yourself because from this moment on, the veil begins to fall. Habit 1. Energetic sexual encounters with the invisible. Have you ever awakened in the middle of the night with your heart racing, your skin tingling, and your body trembling with an energy you couldn't explain? The room was empty. No voice, no touch, no movement. And yet you felt as though you had just been through an intimate encounter more powerful than anything the physical world could offer. If this has happened to you, you are not imagining things. You are not broken. You are not insane. You are simply stepping into one of the most mysterious and forbidden realities of being a chosen one. For many who carry this spiritual mark, intimacy does not always involve another human being. Instead, It emerges as an unseen force, encounters with beings that do not live in flesh, but in frequency. These may be ancestral spirits, guides, interdimensional entities, or energies that defy any name our language can give. They arrive without warning, without request. Sometimes like a gentle presence wrapping you in warmth, and sometimes like a storm of fire rushing through your veins. They do not play by human rules. They cross the boundaries of time and space and use your very body as a portal of union. And here lies the paradox. Not all who come carry light. Some arrive to teach, to heal, to awaken forgotten layers of your essence. Others, however, come to feed, to drain, to consume, to leave you emptied in ways no human partner ever could. This is the danger no one speaks about. Because when you are a chosen one, your energy radiates like a beacon in the dark. Your light calls and the invisible world answers. What you attract in those moments depends entirely on the state of your own vibration. That is why one night you may awaken electrified, filled with strength and clarity that lingers for days, as though heaven itself has touched you, in another night. You may awaken weak, invaded, aching, with a shadow hanging over your spirit, because every energetic union leaves an imprint, a cord, a thread woven between your essence and the essence of another being. And unless you learn how to cleanse, release, and protect your energy, you may carry the fingerprints of entities that were never meant to merge with you. This is not a modern discovery. Ancient shamans, priestesses, and mystics all knew of these secret unions. They understood that sexual energy is the purest form of life force, the fire that sustains the universe itself. They warned that when this energy activates within a chosen one, it sends a signal like an invitation to realms unseen. Some of those realms hold allies, others predators, and to the chosen both are drawn like moths to flame. But here is the truth that most will never dare whisper. These encounters are not random. They are mirrors of your inner state. They happen when your soul longs for connection deeper than your conscious mind can admit. They happen when wounds within you echo out into the universe, summoning answers. Not all of them safe, not all of them gentle. To awaken as chosen means to stand at the threshold between ecstasy and danger, bliss and invasion. And perhaps you have felt this. The weight of a presence pressing against your chest. The sensation of lips brushing against your skin when no one was there. The shiver of a kiss that burned without a body. These are not dreams. They are unions that transcend flesh. And once you experience them, you can never return to believing intimacy is only physical. Yet the warning must be spoken. Every union creates a contract. Every touch, even from the invisible, leaves a trace. And if you open these portals without awareness, you risk entangling your soul with energies that can distort your desires, confuse your emotions, and even bend the path of your destiny. What feels like passion one night may become a chain the next. What feels like a gift of light may in time reveal itself as a theft of your very essence. So if you are a chosen one and you have felt this, if you have ever awakened knowing that something unseen just merged with you, you must remember this. You are not a victim and you are not cursed. You are a portal. Your body is the meeting point of realms. The key is not to fear it, but to learn how to discern it, how to cleanse it, how to master it. Because only when you stand in awareness, will you understand the deeper purpose of these encounters. They are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to step into your power, to claim your ability to navigate the unseen, to embrace the truth. That intimacy for you was never meant to be ordinary. It was always meant to be cosmic. And now I want you to ask yourself, have you ever felt the invisible embrace? Have you ever awakened not with a memory of a dream, but with the certainty that something ancient and otherworldly has touched you? If you have, then you already know what it means to walk as chosen. But this is only the beginning. Because while some chosen ones experience intimacy with the unseen, others experience a silence so profound that even when desire burns, the body itself refuses to move. And that silence hides the second habit, the mysterious abstinence imposed not by choice but by the soul itself. Habit 2, the silent abstinence imposed by the soul. Have you ever found yourself face to face with someone you deeply desired? The chemistry was undeniable. The air between you was charged. Your mind said yes. Your body said yes. And yet in the very moment of surrender, everything froze. Not because of fear, not because of shame, but because something within you deeper than instinct whispered a resounding no. This is the mystery of the chosen ones. While others interpret intimacy as a simple act between bodies, for you it is something far more profound. It is not skin on skin. It is soul into soul. And because of this, your spirit will never allow you to merge with energy that does not align with your essence. This is why at the very threshold of passion, your body locks like a sacred gate. It is not rejection. It is not dysfunction. It is protection. Society has never understood this. They have named it frigidity, detachment, coldness. But these labels are lies built for people disconnected from spirit. The truth is that your soul carries a seal, a hidden defense mechanism that protects you from contracts you were never meant to sign. Because for a chosen one, intimacy is always a contract. Invisible yet binding. Each act imprints a code onto your spiritual DNA. Each encounter leaves a signature that can strengthen or fragment your essence. And your soul in its wisdom will rather close the gate entirely than allow a connection that would scatter your power. This is why so many chosen ones live long seasons of silence, months, sometimes years of unexplainable abstinence. It is not repression. It is not punishment. It is gestation. During these seasons, your soul is rearranging its energy, purifying, recalibrating. The silence is a cocoon where your essence weaves a new blueprint for the kind of intimacy you were created for. But the world does not see the sacredness in this silence. Friends ask if something is wrong with you. Family worries that you've lost interest in love. Partners feel rejected and confused when the invisible wall rises between you and them. They cannot understand that behind this stillness lies a dialogue too holy for words. Your body and your soul negotiating the integrity of your essence. And in those long seasons, doubt begins to whisper. You wonder if you are broken. You fear that you will end up alone. You begin to believe that you are cursed. But none of this is true. The abstinence of the chosen one is not emptiness, and it is transformation. The stillness is not death. It is metamorphosis. Your spirit is weaving a union not built on lust but on destiny. The pain of this abstinence is real. It tests your patience. It challenges your identity. It makes you long for something that never seems to arrive. But in that waiting, something unseen is happening. Your soul is rejecting everything shallow because it knows you were not made for casual encounters. You were made for sacred recognition. You were made for cosmic love. And when the time comes when your soul has finished its purification, the E-seal will unlock. And the union that awaits you will not just satisfy the body. It will ignite your entire being. It will not just touch your flesh. It will awaken your destiny. That is why the silence is so merciless. Because it is preparing you for something too rare, too divine, too extraordinary to be wasted on anyone who cannot carry it. So if you have ever felt this, if you have ever stood in front of desire only to have your own body betray you with silence, remember this. You are not broken. You are not unloved. You are being protected. You are being prepared. Because for the chosen ones, abstinence is never about denial. It is always about preservation. Preservation of a power so rare that the universe itself guards it until the right moment, the right soul, the right destiny arrives. And yet, this silence carries another mystery. For while some chosen ones are sealed off from false unions, others find themselves endlessly drawn toward those who are wounded, broken, desperate for healing. Which leads us to the third hidden habit, the magnetic attraction to wounded souls. Habit 3, the magnetic attraction to wounded souls. Why is it that chosen ones so often fall in love with the broken? Why does your heart seem to be pulled almost against your will toward those drowning in their own shadows? It is not a fetish. It is not weakness. It is not a savior complex. It is something far deeper, something ancient written into the very design of your spirit. Chosen ones carry within them a hidden radar. A sensitivity so refined that it detects pain even when it is hidden behind a smile. You walk into a room and without trying you feel it. The unspoken sorrow, the silent scream, the weight someone carries but never dares to admit. And before your mind can reason, your heart responds. You are drawn in like a healer who has found a wound crying to be touched. This attraction is not random. It is karmic. It is part of the blueprint of your soul. For within you flow light codes, currents of energy that naturally awaken when they encounter brokenness. To the wounded, being near you feels like relief, like breathing after suffocating for years. And so they come again and again. They are pulled into your orbit, not always knowing why, only feeling that somehow your presence is medicine. But here lies the hidden danger. In your desire to heal, you begin to absorb. You take their weight into your body. You carry their scars in your spirit. What begins as intimacy slowly transforms into a transaction. You give and give and give until nothing remains of you but fragments. Sex in these cases is no longer union. It becomes ritual sacrifice. You enter their wounds not to receive love, but to patch them up with your very essence. And when they leave, for they almost always do, you are left emptied, hollow, unable to explain the ache they never even noticed they caused. This is the painful cycle of the chosen ones. You do not just attract broken souls. You bond with them. You give them pieces of yourself they never return. And when it ends, you wonder why you were left smaller, dimmer, while they walk away lighter, freer, sometimes without even looking back. The cruel truth is that this pattern will repeat until you learn the sacred lesson. You cannot heal yourself through someone else's redemption. You cannot fix your own wound by fixing theirs, because often what pulls you toward their pain is not only compassion. It is reflection. You are drawn to their brokenness because in it you see a mirror of your own. And secretly you hope that by healing them you will finally heal yourself. But that, dear soul, is the most dangerous illusion of all. You can ignite their light. Yes, you can carry them for a while. Yes, but you cannot complete yourself through their transformation. Only by turning inward, by ceasing to choose chaos disguised as passion, will you finally break the loop. So, let me ask you something and be honest with yourself. How many times have you mistaken pain for love or intensity for true connection? Write it below. Not because I need to read it, but because declaring it will free you. Your story may be the mirror another chosen one needs to finally recognize their own pattern. And yet, there is another layer. Because this attraction to brokenness is not always about human relationships. For some chosen ones, sexuality itself becomes ritual, a sacred invocation where energy is no longer spent trying to heal others, but is transmuted into portals of awakening. And that revelation leads us to the fourth hidden habit. The ancient practice of sex is a spiritual ritual, a gateway to energy activation. Habit 4. Sexual rituals as portals of energy activation. For most people, sex begins and ends in the body. It is a fleeting rush, a momentary escape, a spark that burns quickly and disappears. But for the chosen ones, intimacy is never just physical. It is ceremony. It is alchemy. It is the architecture of energy itself. In their hands, desire transforms into invocation. And every union becomes a portal through which dimensions open and forces awaken. Long before the modern world reduced sexuality to entertainment, ancient civilizations revered it as sacred technology. The priestesses of the moon, the tantric mystics of the East, the shamans of forgotten tribes, all knew the hidden truth. When the masculine and feminine merge in conscious union, they do not simply exchange pleasure. They ignite creation. Greater than they tear open the veil. They awaken a current that connects heaven and earth within the human body. This is why so many chosen ones, even without formal training, feel a natural urge to ritualize their intimacy. Lighting candles before union, breathing in unison, visualizing colors and symbols that appear unbidden in the mind's eye, whispering words that feel more like prayers than seduction. These are not random gestures. They are the ancient memory of a soul that remembers what humanity has forgotten. Sex is not just an act. It is a spell. In these rituals, every movement becomes sacred geometry. Every rhythm is a language. Every breath is a key unlocking hidden chambers of the soul. An orgasm far from being the end becomes ignition. A moment where the ego dissolves and the chosen one becomes pure vibration radiating through realms that words cannot touch. Yet this power carries danger because opening portals through sexuality is not a game. It is not a curiosity. It is not something to play with in the name of pleasure alone. When practiced without reverence, without mastery, these rituals can attract forces that seek not to heal but to feed. And instead of rising, the soul becomes entangled in addiction, confusion, and chaos. That is why throughout history, these practices were guarded and transmitted only to those who had been purified, who had confronted their own shadows, who understood that sex is not only about taking. It is about offering. For in the hands of a fragmented soul, sexual energy can become a weapon of destruction. But in the hands of a chosen one who is awake, it becomes a bridge to divinity itself. When performed with awareness, sexual rituals transform the body into a temple and intimacy into invocation. The chosen one does not merely seek pleasure. They channel it. They shape it. They release it as light that heals, as power that manifests, as vibration that ripples across realms. In these moments, sex ceases to be carnal. It becomes cosmic. It becomes creation itself. And perhaps you have felt it too. That instinct to treat intimacy as something more. That urge to set the scene with reverence, to breathe with intention, to lose yourself not only in passion but in transcendence. If so, it is because your soul remembers. It remembers that sexuality when aligned with spirit is not just human instinct. It is divine technology. But even this powerful as it is not the final revelation. Because beyond rituals, beyond unions with the unseen, beyond even the silence of abstinence, lies the greatest secret of all, the complete transfiguration of desire. The moment when sexual energy is no longer about body or even ritual, but becomes destiny, purpose, and divine creation. This brings us to the fifth and final habit. The transformation of sexuality into a force of ascension where desire itself becomes the path of divine purpose. Habit 5. The transfiguration of desire into divine purpose. There comes a moment in the journey of the chosen when sexuality ceases to be about the body at all. It transcends encounters with the unseen. It surpasses the silence of abstinence. It even goes beyond rituals of energy. At this stage, desire itself undergoes transfiguration. It becomes purpose. It becomes destiny. It becomes a force through which the chosen one fulfills the very reason for their existence. For most of the world, desire is seen as a hunger to be satisfied. A fire to be extinguished. But for you, chosen one, desire was never meant to be consumed. It was meant to be harnessed. It was meant to be elevated, shaped, transmuted into creation, into mission, into divine expression. This is the hidden truth. Your sexuality is not a weakness to tame, but a power to transform. At this stage, the chosen one no longer asks, "Who will satisfy me?" but rather, "What will I create with this fire?" Every pulse of desire becomes fuel for art, for healing, for teaching, for awakening others. Every surge of passion becomes an offering to the divine, channeled into works that outlive the flesh. And in this way, sex stops being an end in itself and becomes a beginning. The spark that ignites destinies, births visions and manifests realities. This is why the greatest mystics spoke of chastity not as repression but as transfiguration. It is not about silencing the fire but about learning how to direct its flames. For the chosen ones, the body becomes an altar where desire is no longer burned for momentary pleasure, but lifted as incense toward heaven. And perhaps you have already tasted fragments of this. The moments when passion overflowed not into another's body, but into your creation. Into words that poured from your soul, into art that seemed to flow through your hands, into visions that carried you beyond yourself. These are not accidents. They are signs. They are reminders that your desire is not meant only to bind you to flesh, but to propel you into spirit. The final transformation then is this. When the chosen one no longer seeks union merely to feel alive but becomes union itself. Alive in every heartbeat, every breath, every creation that flows from their being. Desire in its purest form becomes devotion. Pleasure in its highest form becomes prayer. And sexuality in its deepest form becomes the very force by which the chosen fulfills their divine purpose. This is the ultimate secret. What you once believed was chaos. What you once feared was curse. What you once carried as shame. All along it was the map. The sacred energy that was never meant to enslave you but to crown you. The chosen one does not escape sexuality. The chosen one redeems it, transfigures it, and in doing so reveals the truth that most of the world will never comprehend. Sex was never merely human. It was always divine. And now that this has been revealed, there remains only one step. To bring it all together, to look back at the path we've walked and to understand why your sexuality was never your downfall, but always your ascension. Which leads us to the conclusion. Now that the veil has been lifted, everything begins to make sense. What you once carried as shame, confusion, or silence has revealed itself as sacred design. The strange encounters with invisible lovers, the long seasons of abstinence, the relentless pull toward the broken, the instinct to ritualize passion, and finally the transfiguration of desire into purpose. None of it was accident. None of it was curse. Every moment, every fire, every silence was part of a greater initiation. You see, chosen one, your sexuality was never ordinary because your soul was never ordinary. You were not designed for shallow connections or fleeting pleasures. You were not meant to scatter your essence in places where it could be broken. You were called to guard your fire until the moment it could become a light. Not just for yourself but for the world. This is why your path has been misunderstood. Why others could not comprehend your silence. Why lovers came and went, never able to hold the depth of what you carry. Why you felt torn between desire and spirit. Because your journey was never about fitting into the patterns of this world. It was about breaking them, about revealing a truth that lies beyond them. And now, having seen it clearly, you can release the weight of self-doubt. You can silence the voices that told you something was wrong with you. You can step into the knowing that your sexuality was never a weakness. It was always your initiation into divine power. From this moment forward, every desire that burns within you is no longer confusion. It is compass. Every silence that seals you off is no longer punishment. It is protection. Every attraction to pain is no longer chaos. It is reflection calling you back to your own healing. Every ritual, conscious or instinctive, is no longer strange. It is memory of your true design. And every pulse of energy that rises within you is no longer just longing. It is the voice of your purpose. So walk boldly now. Walk knowing that what sets you apart was never meant to isolate you but to elevate you. Your sexuality is not your downfall. It is your crown. It is not your shame. It is your key. It is not your burden. It is your bridge. And if these words have awakened something in you, declare it now. Write 99 below as a symbol that you are ready to close the old cycle of secrecy and step fully into your rebirth. The 99 marks the end of confusion and the beginning of truth. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe now because this is only the beginning. What lies ahead is deeper, brighter, and more transformative than you can imagine. Chosen one, the secret is no longer hidden. It lives in you, and the world is waiting for the light only you can release.